what does the Bible say about money and economics? A lot. And we're not going to be able to cover it all here today. We're just going to give you a few points. But I want to go back to what Reverend A.R. Bernard said. We talked about this last time. I thought this was pretty profound. Poverty is the norm and wealth is the exception. If we get that backwards, if we think wealth is the norm and poverty is the exception, then we're going to come up with the wrong economic system. And I think a lot of people get that backwards. They think, well, everybody should be wealthy. It's easy to be wealthy. Or if only the government would provide all this stuff for us, we'd be wealthy. That's not the way it works. Poverty is the norm. In fact, the Proverbs talk about this. There's the point that poverty is the default position. Look what Proverbs chapter 6 says. How long will you lie there, you sluggard? When will you get up from your sleep? A little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come on you like a thief and scarcity like an armed man. If you don't work hard, poverty is the default position, right? Wealth takes work. Poverty you can get very quickly. You don't have to do anything. So it takes work. And another thing that, of course, the Old Testament in particular talks a lot about with regard to wealth is the fact that we are never satisfied with money. You know, my dad used to say this. He would say, the more money you have, the more money you want. I don't know why that is, but I think that's true. It's never enough, is it? In fact, the Proverbs or Ecclesiastes says, whoever loves money never has enough money. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with his income. Do you ever notice that? Think back, if those of you that are employed well now, think back 25, 30 years ago. If you think back, say, 30 years ago, if you're that old, and what would you think about the amount of money you're making now? Would you have said, if I could only make that much, I'd be satisfied? You probably would have said that, right? But now that you're making that much, are you satisfied? No, probably, most of us aren't, right? Why is that? It doesn't matter what level we get to. My wife and I, when we first came here to Charlotte to go to seminary, we would dream about just owning any house, right? It could be a shack on the corner. And we go, wow, man, that would be so cool to own that. Now we drive by that house and we're snobbed. I can't imagine living there. You know, I mean, it's like, what is wrong with us? But that's the way we think. Also, Ecclesiastes 6, all man's efforts are for his mouth, yet his appetite is never satisfied. In fact, the Proverbs also say this, hell and destruction are never full, so the eyes of man are never satisfied. We talked about in here before the three things that will motivate us to sin: sex, money, and power. You know, you could have a great relationship. You could have a lot of money. You could have a lot of power, and yet you still are tempted to take shortcuts to get more. Why is that? Why is that? We're fallen, aren't we? Doesn't matter how much you have, you are always tempted to try and get more.